I'm going to call this meeting to order. My name is Peter Hoffman, Chair of the Economic Development Committee. This is a remotely conducted open committee. As a preliminary matter, this meeting may be audio or video recorded. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Paul Anderson.
Aye, here.
Jason Rowell.
Aye, here.
Jeff Green.
Aye, here.
And I'm Peter Hoffman. With the quorum of the committee present, I call this meeting to order at 5:30 or 5:34 on Tuesday, September 7th, 2021. Welcome, Scott, our select board member. I don't know what we've done wrong to have him in attendance, but we'll look forward to your comments and your feedback. Paul, let's start with what little you know about Highland Commons, since you're unable to raise Jed.
I know nothing, Peter, other than what we all can observe, right? That the dollar store looks like it's opening, that F45 has opened. That's about it. You know, it seems to be doing reasonably well. Right? And haven't seen many stores close. All of us can see all that same stuff. So that's all we know. And Jed, I cannot raise Jed. So I'll keep bugging him though, just to see what's going on.
All right, thank you. Let's interrupt since we've got our comments and move on to Keith. Keith Brougham, introduce yourself, chat with us about what you and I have been doing over the last several months. Fire Department, Conservation Commission, Internet, Buildings, and Planning. I think that covers the gambit of the things you've been involved with. And if you could go into some detail and fill everyone in, that'd be great, and explain what little the EDC's done for you.
So basically, I'm a resident here in Berlin, have been for, I don't know, 15, 18 years or so, I'd say. I have a landscape company on Pleasant Street running a home-based contracting permit tucked away in the back, hidden from sight. In the last 3 years, I bought 64 Banner Road in Berlin, which is tucked way behind the DCU building, only accessible from Marlboro. I bought that for a new business I started, which is called Fresh Lawn Care, and as a real estate investment. In the time since I purchased the building, I think I've turned it from, what was just a dump and underperforming and this needed lots of renovation into a pretty well-performing building, but not without a lot of challenges, so to speak. One of the biggest challenges I'm still facing has been trying to get a hard internet line into the building. It was something I started when I purchased it two and a half years ago, I guess. And it's just a lot of hoops to jump through because the internet line needs to leave the town of Berlin, go through Marlboro, under the DCU's parking lot, which is our deeded right of way, and then up to our building. So not only is it, a couple thousand feet of wire, but it's also town lines, other properties and stuff like that. So that's still a challenge I'm up against, but I've also had some challenges with the town itself, Conservation Commission, building inspectors, fire department, so on and so forth, Board of Health, almost you name it, I've been with it, and basically I've tried to overcome them all. But Peter's been helping me reach out, communicate with Charter as much as possible, just because I'm not getting clear answers from them, as well as just kind of helping me sort out some of the matters with building inspectors and stuff like that.
You're muted, Peter.
Yeah, Peter, you're muted if you're talking. I don't know that you're talking. Sounds like Keith is done talking right now.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was talking to myself, sorry. So what I was saying was that Keith's had some unique challenges. He's had the fire marshal show up unannounced, ask questions of his tenants, report his findings before and after that to a group of people on email. I'm not sure, Scott, if you saw that. And act in such a way that just wasn't, politely said, that friendly. And our goal is to help our businesses in town, and I'm not sure that that was done. Let me interrupt for a second. Chris, are you there? Chris Bastian?
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you have time to wait for Keith to wrap up, or do you need to go?
Sure, no, wait.
All right, thanks. So that's a challenge that I observed. It triggered a review of Keith's ability to rent to his next tenant. I've never heard of a town being involved with the review of a tenant before a tenant signed on. Correct me if I've got this right, Keith.
Was C3 was the tenant? Is that the kid that you're talking about? Keith?
No.
So
C3
that
is
one
gone.
basically, yeah, C3 fell through because of this easement through Marlboro.
Yep.
They got in the way of that,
Well,
and
It's more than an easement through Marlboro. It's an easement through DCU. DCU still owns Banner, the land underneath Banner Road. It's leased to Marlboro and then others. And my understanding is that DCU was worried about what their federal banking license, is a better term for it, but charter could be by allowing something that is not legal by federal law to traverse their property.
Yeah, but what we're talking about is after C3.
Yep, okay. I just want to make sure we're talking
This is
after.
a more
C3.
common tenant, not a cannabis tenant.
Yep, yep.
Go ahead, Keith, if you could explain that.
yeah, so basically the new tenant coming in is a use that is conducive to how the building's been used for the past, since its existence, since 1975, I think it was built. Basically like storage, warehousing, with some light office space. So essentially, because these are all the same tenants, I didn't think I had any type of issue. They set off the fire alarm accidentally prior to signing a lease when they were in there painting the office space. Fire Marshal Litchwell pointed out like a violation in a sheetrock wall. Richard Hanks called me kind of like with a chip on his shoulder, like I needed to call and ask permission prior to placing tenants in my building because he is the zoning enforcement officer. And I just kind of expressed to him that it was the same type of uses the building has been used for the last however many years. And he said, it doesn't matter, you still have to ask my permission. And, so I did. It took him somewhat of like 10 days to respond. Meanwhile, I'm running a fine balance of like negotiating this lease to see if they will be allowed or not. Ultimately, he said, yes, they would be after several emails back and forth with more details of their business. And he has asked for basically a walkthrough. I forget how he phrased it, but they needed to pull a building permit and he wanted to do a walk through the space to make sure that it's all safe and like up to code, which I told the tenants about. They signed the lease, they're in there now and they have complied with. And actually, to give you guys an update on that, there hasn't been any really response from him. He hasn't showed up to do his walkthrough yet. I'm a wee bit nervous with his walkthrough as to what he's going to point out and ultimately end up costing me to put this tenant in the space. But it just seemed a bit of extra work to put a tenant in the space of similar use that it's always been. It's not C3 going in there, it's a storage and warehousing type of thing.
And then tell them about the Conservation Commission.
The Conservation Commission was an issue that was brought up during our plot survey of C3 cannabis, trying to get them permitted. So ultimately, due to previous tenants' mismanagement of the building for years, debris had been like kind of pushed off the embankment. And they said that the toe of the slope was not visible. So I self-reported to the Conservation Commission with the hope that C3 would go through, and we knew this would come up at some point. So as a self-reported violation, they give me a friendly enforcement order, we called it. I had to pay a wetland scientist to develop a plan to restore the wetlands. It ended up costing me about $16,000 to grade, clean up, and excavate from stuff that I didn't cause, so to speak. We have to submit a final report on that in September. And otherwise everything like looks good, you know, but trying to do everything right and keep everybody happy, but it's been tough.
In the meantime, he's failed to get, including with my help, with Charter Internet. And he's willing to pay, there's a tremendous fee he's got to pay, Keith's got to pay in order to get this line put in, but of course, the DCU easement complication is just that.
Well, you also get complication that you cross county lines, that Marlboro is in a different county that's serviced by Comcast, where we're in Worcester County served by Charter. And so Charter is running a line through Comcast territory, or Comcast is serving a Charter customer, either one of which I'm sure they get nervous about doing and not trying to piss off their whatever monopoly rules are.
Yeah, I talked to the Charter people, and that's not the issue. The DCU permission is the issue, and the legal folks are having issues. The county complication doesn't seem to be that much of one, but you know, I illustrate Keith's example because our goal is to help. And we've tried, and I'm not sure how much we've done except chatted with Keith, and I wish we could do more. But in the interest of shortening this conversation, Keith, is there anything at this point that you want to share with us, ask the group as a whole, ask us to do that we have not already sort of touched on?
No, I mean, I kind of went over all the challenges and stuff that I've faced. I guess, you know, like when the building inspector calls me, he says, hey, like, this is something like you need to do in order to put a tenant in, like, and then you call the town clerk and they say, well, people at Highland Commons don't do this. Like a small part of it feels like I'm getting picked on because I'm like the little guy. So if there is a set way of doing things that they want me to do, like, I wish there was a clear understanding in the bylaws or something like that to show me what they're looking for so that I could adhere to them, you know?
So Keith's point is that when Highland Commons puts a tenant in, they don't seek permission to put a tenant in. If a building permit or an electric permit or a trades permit is required, it's pulled. But other than that, they put their tenants in at will. So
I don't think it's fully at will. They still have to comply to the zoning about the area.
Right, but they do that by way of seeking permits as needed.
So I guess like Highland Commons could be slightly different because it's all retail. So unless they were putting a cannabis shop up there, everything's straightforward, it's all retail, but.
Right. If they were trying to put a hotel up there or I mean, their alcohol permits needed a bunch. The medical clinic that went in there was, I mean, I don't do this I think all the businesses that we deal with, whether or not, but your story unfortunately is not unique. And so I don't believe from the stories I have heard that you're being singled out. I think you might be exemplary of a bigger problem that I struggle with as much on how to resolve. And I see it not even on just business projects. I see town projects that go forward that town departments get in each other's way as they try to get town projects and cost the town and thus taxpayers more money than is necessary. Sadly, that's no solace to you because it doesn't get you any closer to a solution. Then you might not be picked on. You might just be another example of, but I understand your pain and I wish there was something more I could do about it. And there's something I can look into. I mean, Peter, if you hear this stuff too, feel free to reach out to me or anyone here. If, you know, I don't have any more pull than any other citizen in town, but I might know some right buttons or find better ways of explaining things.
Well, Keith was fearful, legitimately so, of stepping on toes, you know, chatting with me, he was a little bit concerned, talking to the fire chief about the fire marshal who's concerned, and it's certainly understandable. So going to the select board is sort of a parallel concern. I'm not your
no, that's fine.
But he's trying to be sensitive to the human nature, the human condition. Anyway, well, thanks, Keith. Keep on, stay in touch and stay with us on this meeting if you like.
I'll pay attention. I appreciate you guys inviting me over.
Yeah, thanks for spending your time joining us. I'm going to bring in Chris Bastian. Let me unmute him. I muted you, Chris, because
you can only request to unmute. They have to accept.
Yeah. How does he unmute on the phone? Do you remember?
I don't know the phone instructions. There it is.
He's done it. All right, Chris, the floor is all yours. Share with us what you can and say hello. Chris is on the phone. Chris is the property manager, general manager of Solomon Pond. Go for it.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. Yeah, no, thanks for inviting me to the meeting as always. Just wanted to share a quick note that I had shared with Peter the other day. And I'm not sure if you've shared it all. I'm assuming maybe he hasn't yet, but
I shared the email with the EDC, but not with the others on the line. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Excuse me. So last week, I don't know, it was the second or the third, we being Simon Property Group, we were made aware that Simon Property Group will no longer be managing Solomon Pond Mall effective September 1st. So while I'll be there for a couple of weeks for a transition period, remaining with Simon Property Group, there's a new company that has effectively taken over called Pacific Retail, California-based company, I believe. And I've had just minimal conversations with them locally. I believe they're still in the process of or trying to hire a local management staff. They may have it in place already. They just haven't started yet. I can confirm that. That's really all I know, to be honest. As I told Peter the other day, I just wanted to share that with you guys here.
Well, thanks for spending the time to spend your day off. I think you're on vacation, right?
Just a couple of days off.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us. Anything you want to share about the mall? I think it's sort of self-evident, but anything about the mall that's worth touching
Yeah,
on?
no, I mean, I don't have anything really profound to share. I mean, we've got we got one new local tenant under construction in the food court, Mexican restaurant, locally owned, seemed like a family run, called El Sombrero. They're running a little behind, but they should be open. I would hope in the next 30 days, and that'll round out really. Well, I can't say the food court because we do have another empty spot in the food court there, but yeah, it's really we've got a couple other small spots. There's actually a cafe that's going to be opening in the previous Starbucks space. The name escapes me right now, but I believe it's going to be like a Brazilian cafe, perhaps with some Brazilian food. They'll be opening there again, hopefully in the next month or so. Other than that, no, nothing really large to share regarding the mall.
Anything going on with Sears, even so that's not under your direct control?
I'm sorry, say that again, Peter.
Anything going on with Sears, even so that's not under your direct control?
Yeah, no, I'm not aware of anything. It's not a Simon-owned parcel, so I don't have any information on that front.
Anyone else have any questions or thoughts for Chris?
I do not.
Well, Chris, best of luck. Chris, you will find at the Auburn Mall. He remains the manager of that mall, and half the workload, perhaps.
For now, yeah. No, I just wanted to say thanks to to this board for inviting me to several meetings, Peter for working with you guys, and really, really everyone that we've come in contact with the town of Berlin, at least in my tenure, has been a positive one. So I just want to thank you guys for that.
Super. Well, thanks for joining us. I know you got to run.
All right, thanks, guys.
Bye, Chris.
All right, bye-bye.
So we have Matt Senni, I think. Let's have Matt.
I don't see him anymore. Is he still there?
Well,
He
you know
was
what?
there.
I keep on promoting him to panelist, but the command is ignored. Scott, are you familiar with the command being ignored?
No, I tend, oh, there, he's showing up.
He's back now. He's back there now.
Matt, you're muted.
Hello?
I hear something.
Hello?
Okay, we have no video. Do you have video or you're?
No, Zoom is trying to sell me a bunch of new products. I can't get on Zoom. I can't get on traditionally, so I'm on the phone with you all and I can hear you well.
That's
And we
why
can-
I promote you to panelist. Good enough. Matt, the floor is yours. We'd love to hear what's going on with Riverbridge and your ideas and feedback from the ATM, which is probably not much.
Can you hear me, gentlemen?
Yeah. Yeah, we can hear you. Yep.
Can you hear me,
Yes, we can hear you.
gentlemen? Good. At Riverbridge, I don't have much new to report from the last time we spoke. The last time we spoke, I think we had gotten beaten up by our town vote, and we're pretty much in a status quo. The apartments are 100% leased up, which is news, which is good news to the community. And I think there's only 6 school children, and school starts either last week or this week. I was told that they only had six or so students. They were worried originally that they'd have 23 or more students when it was fully leased. So that's kind of a good problem. So that's about all I have. That's about all I have to report. I wish I had a little more activity report, but we've just been kind of hunkered down for the summer.
How's the hotel? Is it better?
Yeah, it's at 75%. RevPAR is getting higher every week. There'll be a little bit of a dip now because some of the corporations that had booked parties for meetings, those meetings did get canceled with a new variant. But we had a lot of travelers this summer, people coming to see grandma, all deciding to stay at our hotel, and it was good for business.
Great.
But there'll be a little dip now because of the pandemic, and then hopefully hopefully in a couple of months it'll sort itself out. I guess that's where I think we're going with that scenario.
Any changes at Riverbridge coming?
No.
Otherwise or otherwise?
No, I don't have any interest in my 3.5 acres in front of the apartments. I don't have any interest in the small piece of property in front of the hotel, where we're approved for 5,000 square feet, up to 3,500 square feet of that could be a restaurant. But I don't think that's happening. The community board that was put together to help Riverbridge with mitigation and finishing up Riverbridge has kind of been at a standstill, but that was supposed to get re-energized this week. But it's only the first day after Labor Day.
Matt, what committee is that?
They set up this committee to decide what to do with Riverbridge owes the town some mitigation, and the town owes Riverbridge some other things. And it's just kind of a back and forth that hadn't gone well. It's part of the problem they had with the board meeting, with the town board meeting in May. But this committee had been set up 8 or 9 months ago and has not worked out particularly well. But we think it's being re-energized right now. So within a week, I'm expecting to hear from them and probably set up some sort of a exploratory meeting, if you will.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of where we're at, which isn't much more than what I probably shared with you personally on a call at some point over the summer or since the board last met. But we're just kind of holding our own here.
Do you have any ideas of what you're going to do with these 2 parcels?
Nope. No, they're just, retail isn't coming. We all know that. So it's zoned for retail, and retail isn't coming. So it can sit as a vacant piece of land, which would be kind of a waste. And because it's not particularly attractive right now either. Or we could go for another zoning change. That's kind of what this committee and I are kind of discussing. What is the best and highest use for the community as well as Riverbridge? And we're hoping that a little bit of a meeting of the minds, because how it's zoned now is problematic, and everybody can see that. The question is, who cares? Obviously, the people at Riverbridge care, and an awful lot of the residents in town care. But there is a group that says, tough luck to Riverbridge, let it sit vacant. It's Riverbridge's problem. And, then it's kind of an eyesore as you're coming through town. We built a beautiful place, and we've got this unattractive piece of land as you turn to your right coming into town. And we're very discouraged by that, obviously. But I don't think nothing eminent is going to happen, but meetings are going to start happening again. We've been promised after Labor Day. The town kind of asked to have the whole summer off just to work things through a little bit. And that's okay. Yeah, but everybody comes, there's a, let's get back to work mentality after Labor Day. So the town and the Sennies are going to get back to work and try and figure out what's best for both the Sennies and Riverbridge, and the Sennies and the community to hopefully finish Riverbridge. Riverbridge is 11 years, 95%, 98% done, and figuring out a way that's a good opportunity for the town and the Sennies would be a great thing as we head out the door. I would love to finish off the community. Everything we built well. We're proud of all our partners and all our tenants. And, we'd like to do something nice on this one piece of land. But, we'll need help. We'll need some town enthusiasm. We'll need some cooperation from some boards. And hopefully that will come.
Does anybody that's on the line, Scott, Keith, Paul, Jeff, Jason, have any ideas worth bantering about with Matt right now? Or feedback, negative or positive?
Sorry, this is Scott Hawkins, Matt, on the select board. What little I have, because we also have gone light during the summer in our meetings, but I thought I agree that I thought they were getting ready to sort of reinvigorate that committee to negotiate what changes should be made to, or could be made to the development agreement.
Yep, I think that's going to happen, Scott. As we said, a lot of people just wait till after Labor Day to get re-energized, and today's literally the first day after Labor Day. So I hope, by Friday or next Monday, I'll probably get a call, moving people in the right direction.
Who's the leader of that commission?
Margaret.
Yeah, I thought Margaret was taking the lead to make sure that it was moving forward.
Yeah. So we're expecting something to happen this week. It just isn't happening. But it hasn't happened by this meeting.
Right.
Got it. All right.
All right.
Thank you very much, Matt.
Oh, no, I appreciate it. I'm sorry I couldn't get on Zoom properly.
No, it's quite all right.
All right.
Still gets the job done.
All right. Thank you all, gentlemen. Bye-bye
All right,
now.
Matt, thanks very much. Have a good one. All right, Matt is gone. So let's resume with Jason who's up next. Jason, the floor is yours.
Good evening, guys. So Richard, I sent him all the information for the sign project.
That's the code enforcement officer to the buildings commissioner.
Yeah, the building inspector. So he seemed to think that the location that we're looking at is appropriate. And he passed the information on to the planning board. And obviously once they kind of give input, that was about 2 weeks ago. I haven't heard anything back from them yet. I know, Peter, when we spoke, you had said, do you want me to reach out? If you want to reach out this week, that's fine. I was going to send an email at some point, just following up.
Send an email to planning?
Planning, yeah, just to see if they have questions or what they need from us as far as next steps.
Okay.
So,
Why don't you copy me on it, then I can chime in.
okay. Carl from the community garden, I sent him all the information. He seems to be good with it. They have a meeting on the 14th. If we are that far along in the process, I will ask their committee for, approval, since they're the ones that are kind of managing the land. I also reached out to Matt Benny about sponsorship, and since they own the property, we're just in a 100-year lease with it. And then I stopped communicating with Matt because of our sponsorship stuff. And Peter and I had talked briefly, but Highland Liquor said that they would be a sponsor to the first sign. And I didn't know how that would look, proposing that to Matt, since Matt has a liquor shop over there. So it would be his competition sponsoring the sign. So you know, once we get a little bit further in this process, then I think we'll go to Matt and ask for that permission to put a sign up and then try to determine the appropriate sponsor. Jeff, I know, you know, Clinton Savings Bank also said that they could be interested in the sponsorship. So, you know, I think we can have a little more talk about that. But that's kind of where we're at right now. I just need, you know, more information from the planning board, and then we'll obviously go to the select board and make sure that we get approval from whatever committees we need to kind of work through on this. But just so you guys are aware, initially I had the sign location closer to the town garden entrance. But after seeing the plot layout, the land we're leasing goes all the way down to the culvert that runs under the road. And I thought that it would make more sense to move it down further on the property. So the plot layout that I sent Richard had us 20 feet off of the drainage ditch and 10 feet off the road. And it seems like it meets all code. So again, we'll see what planning says and what more information they may need. But once we kind of get approvals and we move forward, they said they can have the sign ready for us within 2 weeks. So we can move pretty quickly once we get approval. And we may have to kind of renegotiate installation. Initially, Dave Smith said that DP would do the install since it was like a town project. But since we don't have a head of the department right now, we obviously have been instructed to not add any additional work to them. So, you know, we'll visit that once we get all our approvals and understand what we're looking at, and then we'll talk about the install. This company does also do the installation, but obviously there'd be an additional charge where the DP would take care of that for us. So,
so let me jump in and talk about the sponsorship thing. Jeff, is Clinton interested in sponsoring this?
Yes, they basically just wanted to be able to pick which sign they could sponsor, and that they would be exclusive in terms of financial institutions.
All right, so it begs the question, I don't want to kick this down the road anymore. This is to all three of you. How are we going to handle who's going to be the sponsor? Highland is willing, Clinton is willing, and Matt, we don't know. Let's assume for argument's sake, Matt was willing to sponsor it. We need to choose one or the other, or we're never going to put this sign in the ground. Paul?
So Matt is not interested.
Oh, he's not?
He's not interested in sponsorship.
Oh, okay, good. That eliminates one.
Yeah, so, and that was my only concern. If he's not interested in sponsoring and then we put a competition on it, he may say, well, I'm not going to approve you to put that on that land.
I'll ask him. I would be surprised if that was the case. Let's decide, the three of us, four of us, which we would prefer.
Yeah. And I mean,
if you get 2 votes, just kidding.
I can't excuse myself.
Paul, what do you think? Does it matter?
So just to be clear, Clinton was less interested in the one over by the town gardens and more interested in the one over by 495 when you do that one.
Oh,
okay.
Well, that simplifies it even more.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So then, are we all in agreement that Highland is going to be where we put the gardens is going to be the Highland sign? Anybody object?
Fine with me.
Works for me.
All right. So Jason, that settles that. I'll ask Matt for permission if you prefer, or you can, whatever is more comfortable for you.
I mean, I know you have a relationship with him, so if you think that,
Okay,
you know, I just don't.
that's fine.
You know.
I'll ask him. So just to be clear, is it on whose land is it on? Is it going to be?
Well,
on town
it'll be
land?
it'll be the town leased land that he owns. Well, his family owns.
And is he clear where this is? Your last, is your last PowerPoint accurate? And if it is, can you send it to me? And if it's not, could you update it?
The last PowerPoint is accurate, but I don't know if I sent it to you. So I will resend it to the group.
Okay.
To make sure you have it, because I did update it with the plot layout.
Good.
And a little more specific with the location. So
Is it something we could bring up now so the group could approve it and get it out of the way right now? I can share it. Could you email it to me now, or is that not convenient?
I don't know that we even need to do that, Peter. I mean, I'm fine with wherever Jason's got the I mean, I guess we should look at it. You're right. That's fine. But everything Jason described makes it sound fine.
I mean, I'm sure it'll be fine, but we probably should, in the interest of
Yeah.
being thorough. All right, well,
I'll email it right over. Give me 1 second.
all right, while that's happening. Guest introductions I'm going to my list. Update by town. Okay, the mission statement is from 2017. Paul, did you see that?
I haven't looked at it again. I remember the 2017 statement. That
All right,
hasn't
this is the one
changed.
I attached to the last
Yep.
agenda for the
Yep.
week before last.
Right.
Any chance that you would be willing to regurgitate it to a 2021 version?
Why would we need to change it?
Because it's inaccurate.
Well, okay, I'd have to look at it. How is it inaccurate?
Well, it's got wrong names on it for starters.
Well, okay, so
Our
we can change
mission
the
is,
name.
I think our mission is probably morphed. But if you, after you review it, you decide only names need to be changed, that's fine. But if
Okay.
you're willing to do that, that'd be great.
Yep.
Thanks. Jason, are you listening?
Yes.
Can we put solar lights on the sign?
Yeah.
Can you inquire about that? So
Yeah.
it's lighted. All right, good. Should we make a capital request for the next sign for the next fiscal year, which would be July 1, 2022? So we can have more money just in case we need it for an additional sign. We should have enough money in the current budget, but should we make a further request, anyone?
Going to be a special town meeting in May. I mean, in November, likely.
Well, we won't need it that quickly, but thank you for the offer. Because I saw Margaret's capital expenditure request email. Isn't that a November 1? Is that November 1 deadline for the November meeting?
Now, that November 1 deadline is for next May's meeting.
Right.
Because capital requests have to go through so many different sort of hoops before they get on the warrant, and we have to have that done by end of March at the latest.
Okay, so we don't need the special town meeting. I think if we just do the annual town meeting, that'll be fine. So that begs the question, Jeff, would you be willing to review Margaret's email and prepare that request? And I can talk to you offline about it. If you have the time.
I've never done any budget requests for.
Well, I've done it once or maybe twice, but we can do it together a bit if you'd be willing. Yes.
Yeah, I would just need all the numbers from.
So how about this, Jeff?
Should be
Why don't
fine.
you, if it's okay with you, review that email and email me a time this or next week that's convenient for you to chat.
Okay.
Peter, I just sent that over to you, so hopefully the cloud doesn't lock it up.
1 second. Keith Van Holland apologizes for not joining us. It hasn't yet come. let's see if you want to junk. Here we go.
And Peter Roth, well, I'll let you finish that. Then my only request about the mission statement is if you could send me a Word version of that, that would be great.
Okay.
I have a Word version of the mission statement, but I don't have a Word version of the sign of the introductory
Understood.
text from you about the members and all.
Understood. I'll do my best to, fair enough. I'll do my best to get that to you.
Peter, you can just move to the last slide. I mean, it's up to you guys.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine. Go to the last slide. Yep.
Are you seeing this now?
Yes.
Okay, great.
So if you look, I don't know if you guys can see it zoomed in, but I put a yellow dot down by the road. See where the blue lines cut through? That's where the culvert cuts through. So I just put a yellow dot down there to kind of indicate the location of the sign based on whatever regulations there are, how many feet off the road it has to be based on its size. That may change with lighting. So I will ask that question if we do put solar lights on it. Does the location have to be adjusted? Because you obviously can't impede visibility of traffic, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like it'll stand out really nice on that corner of the land. There's a little bit of a downslope. It'll be on the top of that downslope before you get down into that ditch. So you'll be able to see it from both directions. So
I'm trying to make this larger. Sorry, guys.
That's okay. We can see it.
I just zoomed it in on my screen. So, and I know Scott probably hasn't seen this, but Peter, if you want to go up one or two, it'll show you kind of a depiction of an example of the sign.
All right, I'll start there. Okay. Do I need to reduce the size? Can you see it, or is it truncated?
No, it's not. Mine hasn't moved. Maybe somebody else's has moved.
No, hasn't moved yet.
So we're still on the
I've
map.
changed it. Huh. It hasn't changed?
No.
No.
Huh. Let me unenable stop share. 1 second.
I know that in the bylaws, it does say something specific about what you can, how you can light signs, because the school is having some issues with their sign that they'd like to put up.
Yeah.
But their sign's LED and this is not. So I think it allows for sign.
Yeah.
Can you see that now?
Yeah. Yeah.
So pretty simple. It'll have the
Yeah.
town crest in the center. It'll be reflective. So at night, headlights will kind of bounce off it.
Yeah.
The sponsorship can be changeable. We can do one or more sponsors per sign if down the road we decided for whatever, a business moves or things change. So they're all kind of interchangeable.
How long do we want to offer the sponsorship for a given fee? A year, 5 years, lifetime?
What was our understanding with Clinton, for example, or Highland? What have they heard relative to how long they can be there?
I didn't address it, so Highland and I were silent.
Yeah, I don't think we ever talked about a term.
And I would propose 3 years. At least as a discussion point. Scott,
Sure.
do you have any insight?
I don't. I know that I agree that it should be longer rather than shorter, because if you have it yearly, then you're having regular conversations
Yeah,
Uh,
sure.
and there's just not a lot of stability. You don't want the signs even changing all that much.
Right.
And I
Right.
don't think
Well,
I think you're doing it as much to cover the cost of putting the sign in and not as a revenue source for the town.
Correct.
Right, it's to defray the cost.
I personally would look at more like 5 years, just
Yep.
because, especially if the installation that you're asking, I think was like 2,500, then it's, 500 a year for 5 years. It's a
That
one,
sounds reasonable to me.
the business
Paul
goes out of
shaked his
business, that
head,
thing
yes.
goes quicker,
Yeah,
but-
that seems fine.
Jason, do
Yeah.
you concur?
Yeah.
All right, so.
Yeah, I
5
mean,
years.
I think we've determined it's gonna be right around $2,000, but, no, I think 5 years is fair. A business like Clinton Savings isn't going anywhere,
Right, good.
So.
All right, let me go to the next slide. Tell me if you see it.
There you go.
Did that change and is this useful, Jason?
Um,
Did the sign?
not really. That was the original one before I had the plot layout, so. And that was just kind of an example. I just kind of inserted it there.
I like how you got that one to float in the air. Float in the air.
Would you say?
That Photoshop is the sign floating in the air.
Exactly. It's a magic sign.
Magic. I can move it anywhere.
It might be worth just a quick email over to the police chief about the sign location, just to make sure that he doesn't think it's going to impede traffic. I don't think he gets a formal say as much, but if he doesn't like it, then there'll be other problems.
Sure. Yeah, I figured once we started getting further into the approval, I would talk to whoever is necessary.
All right, so decisions to be made. We've decided who to offer it to, what the length of term will be. I'll reach out to Matt.
And then I guess I'll email the planning board and CC you in,
Yeah,
just to see where they're at as far as questions. I'm sure they're gonna have a few.
maybe you should just simply ask to get on the agenda so we can get this moved. Does that sound good?
We can ask the question, yeah.
I'm sure they'll put you on the agenda. Good. Anything else sign wise that we should consider?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. That's it for me. Jeff, you're up.
Okay, so the first thing I had was the Lancaster EDC. I was able to contact someone back in late April. They said, sounds great, let's talk about that, but let's talk about it after our meeting, which was in May. And then I haven't been able to get anyone to answer me since. So I don't have any updates from them. I'll continue to try and reach out, but I don't know if other than there's a couple emails on their town website, but other than that, I don't have too many options for trying to get a hold of them.
Do you mind reaching out to the selectman's secretary and ask him or her?
I can try that as well.
All right. The ERC application that I emailed around, is there anything for our constituents?
Basically for the ERC, it is a tax credit, so they should get in touch with whoever prepares their taxes for any information about the ERC. It looked like it was somewhat complicated and somewhat it's evolved a couple times over the past 6 months, so I would definitely have them contact a tax professional about them and not take any direct advice from me other than to contact a tax professional.
Is it something that the EDC should push out there, or is it just a waste of our time?
It doesn't seem like a ton of people would qualify for it. They have to be able to show a substantial loss over the past between 2019 and 2020 while keeping their employees.
Okay,
There are definitely going to be some people who qualify, but I don't know that it's going to be anything that's going to be widely utilized.
okay. Anything else pandemic wise that you've learned? So Scott, do you know Jeff? Yeah, okay. So you know who he works for,
Yes.
he runs the branch in Clinton.
Yes,
Okay, good,
I'm not at that branch all that often, but we do business there personally.
good. So is there anything else CARES COVID wise that we should be talking about in this meeting or sharing with the constituents?
Just that there are still a bunch of programs that are out there and still active. The Restaurant Revitalization Fund is still there. The Shuttered Venue Operators Grant is still available. They are still doing economic injury disaster loans. There's a Black Business Relief Program, Boston Local Development Corporation loan. And then there's a couple different crowdfunding loans, and Reopen Boston Fund that is Boston and Boston area. So that one's more city of Boston though. Those are all state website.
Got it. All right, thanks. That's all we've got. I'm behind on reviewing minutes, so hopefully next time I'll get them done or caught up. Thanks to Paul, they're all caught up in his end. Anything else? Scott, anything you'd like to share with us or ask us questions?
No, I want to get a sense of what's going on in the business community. I just make sure I have the right sort of context to bring back to the select board if we bring things up. I get the rules are sometimes contradictory or not easy to follow and very detailed, but that's sort of the way some of this stuff works.
Scott, one of the things I've asked Eloise and Margaret and Mary before Margaret was to be put on notice when some business activity takes place, a permit is applied for or something akin to
Yeah.
a business certificate, and that's never happened. And so
Okay.
we're in the dark
Because
unless somebody.
we regularly have people like, I think Quobota's on, or whatever their name is on the agenda, I think tonight, because they're changing managers. I know there are some issues with Regal's liquor license, issues, I think, like technical dotting I's and crossing T's, not issues like people are all like in arms and there's serious problems with it, but it still has to try to get done. And there is a time of year where like all the permits come up that we have to renew them all. And so we do have a list of all the people who have permits for various things in town.
I think new business starts are critical that we learn of.
Yeah.
Problems like Keith talked of. If he didn't approach me or the EDC, we would never know he had an issue. I'm not sure
Right.
it really made a dent. But
no, but it's important to know about those things to see what we continue to do. I have raised a couple of times, although it wasn't Keith's issue, where sometimes the historically, it doesn't seem to be a problem right now, where the building inspector tells you to do A and the fire inspector tells you to B, and they're mutually exclusive.
right.
And they've been working closely together, so at least businesses and homeowners aren't put in a position where they have to choose one over the other, but that since they need both their sign-offs, their projects don't get done.
Right.
Quick question, talking about business around town. Is there any updates on the Penny? I've seen some work going on around there.
I have two, and I have not seen anything really, at least when I last looked, I didn't see even any building permits pulled, because I get the building permit list once a month. I've not heard really anything there. I know that from previous stuff that there is some septic issues that will make it difficult to make it viable for a restaurant to go back in there. But I don't know what other uses might happen.
Gotcha.
I have a little information. James
Go
Holyoke represents the owner leasing wise, and the owner's a town person whose name escapes me right now. Anyway, he would like to lease it to whoever he can. So James is representing him in that regard. They invited me over, oh gosh, a month or maybe 2 months ago to see the progress. And basically what they've done is they've cleaned it up and removed debris and removed things that they don't need. And they're hunting hard and long for a tenant. I'm guessing they don't have a tenant because if they did, Scott would have seen the permit application.
Right, that explains the work they've done there. The cleaning up a place and removing debris doesn't require a building permit. So that's why there's also not a permit on it at this point.
Exactly.
I know that they were behind in their taxes, that was getting close to tax title taking, or at least the ability to take it, and that someone stepped forward and paid the taxes. So it is no longer a delinquent on taxes. It doesn't overly surprise us because the town getting ownership of that building for, you know, $10,000 or $12,000 worth of taxes is someone losing a really nice asset. So someone stepped forward, whether it's the current owner or someone who has a mortgage on it, but they are current.
Right. Scott, have we given you any kind of a pulse of what the EDC does? Do you?
Yeah, again, I try to make every meeting. It's the timing, and don't adjust the timing for me, but trying to get off, trying to between work and trying to do things, especially since you tend to be often on the same same night as select board. It doesn't give me a ton of time, but I do try to make these.
We plan it intentionally so you guys can attend.
Yeah.
All right. So that puts a wrap on it unless there's anything besides picking another date. Anyone else, anything? I say we meet the early part of December. That'll be after Thanksgiving and well before Christmas time. What does that sound like to you guys?
Sounds fine.
Jason, Jeff?
Works for me.
So we could do Wednesday the 1st or so, or Monday the week of. Let's not do that. Let's do the week of the 6th of December, which is a Monday.
Sure.
What works for everyone?
Pick a date. Right at that point, doesn't matter to me right now.
Yeah, this far out, I don't have anything.
How about Wednesday the 8th?
Yep.
I was just gonna say any day but Wednesday.
All right, how about Tuesday, the 7th?
I can't do that. I may not be able to do that because I've got ski patrol with them.
How about Thursday, the 9th?
Works for me.
That's 6 p.m.
It's fine with me. Do you guys prefer 6 or 5:30? Let's do 6.
I'd
Six.
prefer 6 just
Yeah.
because if we ever do go back to normal time, I
Okay.
would have to make 5:30.
All right, so Jason, let's stay more in touch. So by the time of that meeting rolls around, maybe we can have a final presentation.
Works for me.
All right, everyone, anything else?
Mm-mm.
All right, Scott, thank you very much for joining us and taking your time to participate. Everyone else, thanks for participating as well. And I call this meeting closed.
You're gonna move to adjourn the meeting? Yes?
I think you just did. I'll second it.
All right,
All in
Aye, aye.
favor?
Aye, aye.
all right.
All opposed?